Get 15% off a set of BrakeMess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 134.
Life is challenging and difficult. No one gets out alive. Time to suck it up, Buttercup. Get ready for a monster-sized boot, aimed to help you get traction on personal change and get living. I am John Curran, your host. Join me as I share my journey, exploring the forces that motivate us to change and help us get through whatever life throws at us. A swift kick in the ass. Life on your terms.
Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curran, and today's episode, Looking Past the BS. So, I deliberated whether or not I should just call it out for what it is. BS stands for something. If you've got kids, maybe you don't want them to listen to this episode. I am going to cuss. There's just no way I can do this without cussing. So I try to keep it at a minimum. You know, I curse with reason, and I think this is just part of it. There's a lot of bullshit in this world. We all contribute to it to some degree or another. And what do I mean by this? Because, you know, there's many different types of bullshit out there. Now, of course, you look at our politics. That's just ripe with bullshit. Filled. And this is not a political show. This is about personal change. So, this is really about the bullshit that you receive in your everyday life through dealing with different people. It's also dealing with yourself. And, you know, it's very possible to bullshit yourself. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Now, bullshitting can be innocent. You can joke, you know, you can be bullshitting someone and joke, and that's all fine and good. And again, none of this is judgmental, just calling it as I see it. But there is a time where someone is just totally bullshitting you, like politicians, and they know what the full game is, and they're still, you know, trying to bullshit you, pull the wool over your eyes, so that they can manipulate you. Not just politicians, con men, criminals. You know, there's a very negative side to this. And it's all part of power, isn't it? As Tommy and I used to talk about in the laws of power. This is manipulation. This is guiding people to a certain way of thinking that benefits them. And them meaning you. You know, we deal with bullshit in our day-to-day life. It's really easy to come up with examples. You know what bullshit is. I can't bullshit the bullshitter. We're all bullshitters. You know, a great example. You know, when we're asked, do we, you know, about how much we love our job, or asked about our job, do we give people a really clear and honest answer to how you feel about your job? Or do you sugarcoat it? You know, or do you just suck it up and play the company message, whatever that may be? You know, there is a reason why you would do that, to try to pull the wool over someone else's eyes, so that they really don't know, you know, they really don't get any clue or indication that you really hate your job you just would rather, it's like taking an ice pick into your eyes every day that you go into work. It's killing you slowly. Got very graphic on that. I apologize. Anyhow, it's not just what you say, it's what you don't say, what you hold back, and how you communicate and with others. And bullshit can be about agenda. You can have an agenda behind the bullshit that you're delivering. Again, if you want a promotion, if you want a raise, there might be a good amount of bullshit involved in getting that. This is something that you are trying to work at, trying to manipulate, and doesn't mean everything is all above the table. There's a lot of things going on below the surface, and that's natural. And why would we think that there's something wrong with that necessarily? There could be, but it's not all necessarily bad. We all frickin' do it. So accepting that, I think, is also part of the message that I want to send here. Be aware of bullshit. Come to your own terms and your own decision about how much bullshit you want to deliver in your life. And what I mean, how much bullshit you want to put out there. And I think in order to do that, we get to really the most important form of bullshitting, and that's when you bullshit yourself, when you're not being honest with yourself. And the only way that I know of to really know for sure when you're, to be aware of that when you're bullshitting yourself, is to define the bullshit. That means to get to know yourself and know your feelings, your true feelings. Don't just take them at the surface, but really get to know yourself, look into why you feel a certain way. And then, you'll know the truth. Now, truth does change. What we consider to be true today might be proved false tomorrow. And that is part of life, and it is part of change. We have to be willing to give up the bullshit and walk away from the bullshit and see through it. And sometimes that means that you're going to have to get through the bullshit. You're going to have to walk through it. You're going to have to live through it. You're going to have to clean it up in some cases. I don't want to get graphic here, but sometimes it seems like we just wallow in it. We get so caught up in the bullshit of our daily lives that we really lose sight of what's important to us. And that's why we don't get ahead in this life. That's why we don't find happiness, because we don't allow ourselves to be. We get so caught up in the bullshit of the world that we lose sight that we're bullshitting ourselves as to what's really important to you. We can't help the bullshit that's brought to us. We can, as from a political sense, we can go and we can vote, and we can speak with our votes. We can learn about our political system. We can get involved. There's so many things that we can do politically, but there's always going to be an element of bullshit because we're dealing with politicians, which they knew bullshit probably the best out of all of us. So getting through the bullshit, from me personally, the way I did that, the way I just cut through all the bullshit was when I found meditation. I found, really, I think that drove home the fact that personal growth works from the inside out. And so if you're trying to change your life, and you're struggling to do that, then you need to start with the inside and start with yourself and really define what the problem is, and what the bullshit is. Better define it, and either, you might have to learn how to accept it, or you maybe need to learn how to clean it up. Whatever you have to do to deal with it. And maybe you realize that there's nothing that you can do, and you just have to let it go and walk away from it. You need to figure that out for yourself. And don't let other people bullshit you to think that they can do it for you. You're missing the point of living on your own terms. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to hopefully kick you in the ass and get you thinking, with my words, and get you thinking about what you need to do and what you can do. And, I always think back about when my dad was diagnosed with ALS. He had a terminal illness. He was dying. And he had a feeding tube. He had lost so much of his body weight. He was just a fraction of the man that he once was. But, he just said, as we were talking about it, he just was talking about how there were so many things in life that he couldn't do anymore. He couldn't eat anymore. And he just said, imagine all the wonderful food in this world. You could smell it. You could maybe even taste it if you put it in your mouth, but you couldn't swallow it because it could kill him. It would aspirate him. He had no control of his throat. And even just water. We take so much for granted that he had to live with. I think it was torturous. But, a lot of his friends died. He was older and his friends were gone. His family were gone. We can't control that. And there are things that, his life had changed. He could no longer do certain things. He could no longer drive. But he said time is short, and he doesn't have time to waste worrying and fretting about things that he could no longer do, or things that changed that he has no control over. Because there were plenty of things left that he could do, and he had every intent of doing them. To me, that was the kick in the ass that I needed to make me realize, man, you gotta make it happen. You have to make it real. That's what really started my personal journey, and what got me writing, and Tommy and I started doing this podcast, was my dad when he got diagnosed with ALS. It makes you cut through the bullshit real fast when you have a terminal illness, and the clock is ticking, and your life is ending. It makes you look at life in a much different way. Now, if you're not directly impacted, I lost my oldest, dearest friend to brain cancer. You all know Tommy. It sucked. I miss Tommy. I was just thinking about him today, how I really missed him. But I can't change that. And life is for the living. He would want me wallowing in sadness. He would want me to keep getting the most out of life and live for him because he's not here anymore. So, that's, it's bullshit that we make ourselves feel bad because we think that we have to. But, Tommy doesn't care. People who have passed on, they have no worldly concerns that I'm aware of. Life is for the living. And I don't mean disrespect to anyone who has passed. I have dear friends, I have family members, I have people that I love who have died. And I've had to learn how to deal with that. Life and death go hand in hand. But I'm thankful to be here, and I'm going to make the best out of my life. That is no bullshit. And telling myself that I was going to get the most out of life, and also taking this no bullshit approach, has made such a difference in the traction that I've been able to create in my own life. I'm going to be getting into more of this in this podcast. I have a lot to offer still. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. But I have a real treat, I think. I have a couple quotes that I think are pretty good. And I have to share them. So, of course, there's Mel Brooks. We all know who Mel Brooks is. And he said, that people thought he was vulgar. Or people said that he was vulgar, but that was bullshit. So I thought that was a pretty funny quote. And but here's a more serious one by Harry G. Frankfurt. I guess he wrote a book on bullshit. He says, someone who lies and someone who tells the truth are playing on opposite sides, so to speak, in the same game. Each responds to the facts as he understands them. Although the response of the one is guided by the authority of the truth, while the response on the other defies the authority and refuses to meet its demands. The bullshitter ignores these demands altogether. He does not reject the authority of the truth, as the liar does, and oppose himself to it. He pays no attention to it at all. By virtue of this, bullshit is a greater enemy of the truth than lies are. Think about that. Until next time, I'm John Curran. This is a swift kick in the ass. Keep making it real. Make it happen.
Life is challenging and difficult. No one gets out alive. Time to suck it up, Buttercup. Get ready for a monster-sized boot aimed to help you get traction on personal change and get living. I am John Curran, your host. Join me as I share my journey exploring the forces that motivate us to change and help us get through whatever life throws at us. A swift kick in the ass. Life on your terms.